then you'd have to sing that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted you to hear it. And we did a lot of atonal solfege. I used to work in a book with him called Modus Novus, The New Way. And it's all singing Schoenberg and Berg and Bartok. And I remember I was like, wow, this is ridiculous, and with syllables. So it was like you had to play and sing, and it's like you had to do all that stuff. And I remember one time I was mowing the lawn. I had been studying with him about a year or two, and I was mowing the lawn and I heard an airplane and I heard all the intervals, and I'm like, oh, no wonder I'm doing this. This is why I'm doing this. And by the way, the way I looked at it was I want to be a great guitar player, but I want to be a musician. Like I want to be able to conduct, right? Like does that make sense? It was like,
sure.
Well,
I was a guitar player.
But when did that happen for you? Was that when you were younger? Because I mean, we're all the same age here. The guitar was an attraction to you,
Totally.
But at what point in your guitar development, in your early years, was it before Dennis that that's where you were already there?
I was thinking that, to my way of thinking, I had to be a musician. I just happened to play the guitar, but that didn't mean I wasn't a guitar nut. Like, Chris and I, and
no, I know,
but these pickups and this, blah, like I'm all into that.
I'm just talking about your technique.
Yeah, but but the thing is, I love all of that stuff. But early on, I was like, I remember before I got to college, I'm like, I need to learn how to conduct. I need to learn how to work it. Like I just kind of figured that's what you were supposed to do. Does that make I'm supposed to know everything. Okay. Because I figured at some point, making a living, I'm going to need to do that. So unless I become huge as a rock musician, it didn't happen. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I love teaching and I love theory and I love orchestration. I got to be able to do all of that.
But there was a point though and correct me if I'm wrong, that there was that point where you're like, oh, I could go do that rock musician thing. I could be the shredder on,
absolutely.
You pick a name, you could be out there and being that guy.
I wanted to do that. I was like, Yngwie came out and I'm like, I got to get that. Al Di Meola, I got to get that. John McLaughlin, Alan Holdsworth, like all those, Pat Martino, got to get that thing, So totally. But I remember thinking like, it's like I got to get my own thing together because, and at that time that was still important. This was kind of the 80s.
Yep.
And I sent cassettes to John Sticks from Guitar.
Yeah.
What was that? I got
Guitar for the Practicing Musician.
I got a very funny story for you guys. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. So I graduate college and I'm like, okay, let me write some tunes. Because I got to start sending, because at that time it was like, well, I was writing all this wacky crap for piano and orchestration and all that. I was like, no, I actually got to get like something that I can, if I'm going to do this, right? So I'll write this stuff. I write whatever. I have a friend. We record it. Back then it was like 1/4-inch tape. It was nothing. So I sent it to John Sticks and he sends this thing back. He goes, it's really good. He goes, it's a little busy though. I mean, I pumped notes into it. Like if there was if there was like a speck of air, it was like, go back and put another note in it. So I'm like, all right. And it kind of sounded like Bionic Satriani, to be honest with you. It was like, I better do that because that's what people kind of dig. So, and I like Satriani too. So I'm like, all right, I'll just make it like Satriani, but me, I guess. Right.
Right.
And so that happened. And I kind of got that back from John Sticks and I didn't have a lot of confidence. So I was like, hell with that. Fuck it. Right. So I move on and just do my thing. And then I do all this prog stuff and I'm making albums. This is like 10 years later. So I run into a guy named John Macaluso, the drummer.
Yeah.
So we become friends because we have a similar label. Arc is on a label that I'm on. Right. So he goes, oh, I have this buddy named Randy Coven. I'm like, I remember Randy from
Randy.
This is so funny. This is 10 years old. So this is like 2000, from 1990 to 2000.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I'm going to play Randy your stuff. I had an album out with Mike. It was the first one with Michael Manring, edition No, it was
By,
it was Ripe. It was actually Ripe
Right.
and Phineas,
Yeah,
and
it's a Ripe
Phineas
record.
Gage. I hadn't done
Okay.
the addition by subtraction thing yet, and so he goes, "Oh, I'm going to talk to Randy, man. We got to do something, right?" So I talked to Randy, and Randy's making a solo album. So I send him. I said, "Give Randy this." Okay. Randy heard it. He called me up. He goes, "Pretty good, dude." He goes, "Why don't you come up? I'm in Long Island." Yeah, right. And I liked Randy. What a shame that he died. What a goddamn shame. I really liked the guy. He was very kind, you know.
Yeah.
He had an edge to him, though. You know, he definitely
Did he?
had an edge. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that Northeast kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, he had that. Right. I'm from Long Island kind of
Hey.
going. Right, but in a good way. So anyway,
hey, you're 5 minutes late. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. What the fuck's the matter with you? Hey, I was only kidding. You want a beer? You know. I was just seeing what you would say. You know.
Hey, it's a litmus test around here, man.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Litmus test. Yeah. It's a fucking litmus test. Hey, let's go to my family's house for dinner. Yeah, jump in the vet. Yeah. So I go to Randy's. I really like Randy. We hit it off. And at that time, I didn't know it was like. I didn't know to be honest with you, I knew what direction I wanted to go in, but it was a little weird. It was it was that stuff. So it was getting further odd a little bit. So Randy goes like this. One of the first things he says to me, you guys, is now he knew John Styx because he had done all that with the Blues Saraceno and all that. He played with all the Steve Vai and all that. So he goes, I meet him. I come up to Long Island. He goes, "Hey, man." He goes, "I got to ask you something." We only hanging out for like 10 minutes, you know, and his wife is really nice and all. Say, "Hey, got to ask you something." He goes, "What the fuck was your problem? You didn't send anything else to John Styx. What the fuck was your..." I'm like, how does he know about that?